everyone brings their friends, which is great to have support and all that good stuff. So thank you to everybody. I'm going to take it down a notch and read an essay that's a true story about something that happened to me a while back, and it's called Life Aquatic. When I got the call that sunny afternoon in 2003, I told Jeff, my friend and coworker, that I'd be back in an hour. I left the office and drove the 8.5 miles to Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport to pick up Carol's mother. Now, Carol, not her real name, mind you, was someone I barely knew. I had met her and her husband a few times, occasionally chit-chatting with them at a party here or a bar there. So when I got the call from I don't even know who, asking me to pick up Carol's mother and drive her to where Carol was about to give birth, I found it odd that Carol even had my number, let alone had given it to someone. The stranger on the phone told me I was number 5 or 6 on the list of people to call if Carol needed help when the time came for her to deliver. I don't recall ever telling Carol I'd be happy to be on her list, but there we were, and I couldn't say no. Although in my mind and in my throat, unable to escape, was my voice echoing Nancy Kerrigan's question for the ages. Why? Why?
Why?
At the airport, I found Carol's mother, not her real name, easily enough. She got in my car, we made small talk, and soon arrived at the Water Birth Center, a normal house on a nondescript street. I got Carol's mother's bag out of the trunk and wheeled it toward the door. I had just turned to go when I heard Carol's high-pitched and emphatic voice emanating from the bowels of the house. "Is that Lee?" she yelled. Shit. It was one of those moments, those split seconds on which everything hinges. Fight or flight, life or death. Yes, this was one of those times. Now, I could pretend I didn't hear her and just continue on my way, or I could pop in, say hello, wish everyone well, and be gone, right? Right. I chose to fight. I turned around and marched right back the steps and walked in like I owned the place. "Lee!" Carol summoned me again as I headed toward the sound of her voice. It was then that I saw the doula, her real name, who led me into the inner sanctum. Believe me when I tell you, I did not want, nor did I need to be there. But there I was, and there was Carol, 9 months pregnant and very naked, floating in a hot tub on the lap of her sheepish husband, whom I'll call Bob. Bob was wearing a bathing suit. Still, he cringed when he saw me, understandably, and looked anywhere but at me, while I tried to erase the discomfort on my face, but let's just say I don't think I was successful. So I just stood there, unsure of where to turn or what to do, when the doula told me I could wait in the anteroom, but to not go anywhere because they might need me when the time came. That is, when the birth time came. I nodded and took a seat just a few feet from Carol in the hot tub and separated by nothing. I texted my friend Jeff. "I'm gonna be a while," I wrote. He immediately texted back, "Oh dear God, what have you done?" Carol's pain sounded louder and the doula asked me to get her a bottle of water from the fridge. I did as I was told, stopping to assess some posters in the hallway. One said, "Doulas have more fun," and the other, "I'm a doula, what's your superpower?" I grabbed the water and brought it to Carol, whose labor had shifted into high gear. "Hold her!" the doula yelled at me. Then she used her newly freed hands to wipe Carol's head with double-fisted washcloths. Carol was thrashing and splashing about, and I joined her mother in holding her down. Bob, still unwilling to make eye contact, tried to hide under his wife's body as she screamed and pushed, and I wondered when I could get the hell out of there. No doubt, just like their soon-to-be newborn daughter, clamoring to join us in the water world beyond her mother's womb. Fortunately, it didn't take long. Before I knew it, Carol gave birth. Yay! I oohed and awed along with Carol, Bob, Carol's mother, and the doula, and then I said I'd lead them to this private, precious moment and went on my way. Now, don't get me wrong. I adore babies and kids, and I'm not squeamish or put off by nudity or hot tubs or anything like that. It's just like, I don't know you. I don't need to be in such an intimate setting and moment with people I barely know. It's just a little much, don't you agree? I saw Carol just a couple of times after that, and she never said a word about that day. She never called to say thanks or sorry or anything. I wondered if she had been in so much pain that she never even knew I was there. Was that possible? I decided to believe that was the case. Until a few years later, after I moved back home to New York, my friend Jeff called to tell me he had been at a pool party that Carol, Bob, and their now 4-year-old daughter had also attended. You'll never believe what happened, he said, although we both knew that I would. Your water daughter fell in the pool, and Carol and Bob didn't notice. So Peter, his real name, mind you, and our friend, jumped in his clothes and fished her out. He saved her, I asked? But did he bring her into this world? I joked, trying to one-up this most recent story of aquatic mayhem at the hands of Bob and Carol. Did they thank him? Oh boy, where'd he go? It barely registered, Jeff said. They were like, oh great, excuse me while I sip my beer. I sighed and Jeff sighed too. So, did we learn our lesson, Jeff asked me. To never help people ever again, I said. Jeff laughed and I laughed too. But I decided at that moment that, in spite of everything, I would always try to fight and not take flight, no matter what. That I would still try to help people when I could, at least some of the time.